Morris, and that is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
The president's deeply involved in this as well. He has made it clear to his trade team he wants to personally sign off on all of these deals too. We've had more than 15 deals, pieces of paper put on the table, proposals that are actively being considered. And as we've said consistently, more than 75 countries have reached out.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt during the briefing earlier today with an update on tariff negotiations. But Bloomberg is reporting that in talks this week, the EU and the U.S. made scant progress bridging their trade differences, while the Trump administration has indicated that the tariffs imposed on the bloc will not be removed. And joining us now with her perspective here on Bloomberg TV and radio is Carla Hills.
We are live. Hope you're doing well.
Ambassador Hills, thank you for being here on Balance of Power. As we consider what she just
decided to come on today. Hey, Specs Appeal. Hello to you. Thanks for stopping by.
I think that the administration has to sit down and talk to our friends and allies and talk about where there is a win-win situation. Tariffs are such a club.
Linda is here too.
That really don't do anything other than offend those with whom we need to work together, both economically and in security matters. And what we're missing is a good dose of diplomacy.
Well, I'd love for you to bring us behind the scenes for a moment here, Ambassador.
And here's Linda.
Actually negotiated trade deals, including NAFTA. And I wonder your thought on the prospect of running 75 simultaneous negotiations at once. Are these phone calls? Are we sitting down in a room? Are they all with Donald Trump? Who's the controlling authority here? And how quickly can you get all that done?
Well, I wish them well in any way they proceed, but they do need to proceed. You know, we have the highest tariffs that the U.S. has applied in 100 years, and we've hit 185 countries. It's really hurting our economy. You know, you drive up the cost of goods that we need to be competitive, and you hurt small and medium-sized businesses that actually account by numbers about 90% of our exporters, not in terms of value, but in terms of exporters. If they lose their
Thank you,
business,
Specs Appeal.
they dismiss their workers.
Monia
This
Zizard.
is a problem that we're
Hello
going
to you.
face. I think that you raise prices
It's your name.
That's not good. That fuels inflation.
Hello to you as well. Thanks for stopping by.
Small and medium-sized businesses.
Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday thus far.
Businesses are complaining. Everything is on hold.
And
I think this
just decided to come on and do a little live since
not beneficial to our nation.
I have some time.
Big businesses, Ambassador. We heard the president yesterday floating the idea of exemption.
I did one on, was it Saturday or Sunday? I did one this past weekend as well.
Apple's iPhones, and I wonder, as we've seen him kind of pull back the worst of the threats or float the idea of exemption.
So, you know, just a chill stream here with Linda and Kitsos back there.
In these conversations, if it's been proven that they are prone to change their minds on this.
I think it's a recognition that our industries in the auto sector are suffering. And I think he wants to put out a more of a friendly approach to this. But you still have a baseline tariff on all countries with this pause or before everything goes up in July, and that is uncertainty. Our companies don't know whether they're large or small. What's going to happen?
How is your baby doing, Specs? Dakota, right? If I remember correctly.
We heard today from Donald Trump. There's no difference between China. This was part of his call for Beijing to start negotiating. He said there's no difference, Ambassador, between China and any other.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Dakota.
China wants what we have, what every country wants, what we have, the American consumer. Or to put another way, they need our money. Is there anything wrong with that statement?
Well, we need all of our trading partners. My goodness, we have benefited from our imports from China. They've benefited from their trade with us. Why do we give that up? When he says there's no difference between China and the rest, well, he has enormous 145% tariffs on China. Is that how he treats all of us that are outside the border? I think this is a big mistake.
Well, do you think it is one that is actually going to drive China to the negotiating table? Will these tactics work, in your view, Ambassador?
If you want a good
Hey, Matt Radio DXer.
you sit down at the table and talk to the other
Welcome, my friend.
fully understanding what their
Just munching on some potato chips
and
here.
trying to explain what our limitations are.
Right, Linda?
We went through that with every country in negotiating in the
Dave the Slayer.
and in
Hello.
the North American Free Trade Agreement. We
And
knew
welcome
that
to the
it would
stream.
be easier for
Hey,
them
Tina.
to reduce
Tina's in the
restrictions
house.
some areas than in others. And
Hope you're doing
so
well.
You can't do it immediately. Can you do it in 2 years? 3 years? What kind of a deal can we put together?
Icon. What's up? Hello, Icon.
Talk about it and get
Sorry,
to know
Linda.
the other side of the table is enormously important. Not just to scream from where we are. We're going to put this on you unless you do exactly what we say. That creates. That gives support to the countries abroad.
Joe, your dog is Dakota, right?
They don't regard
Because now I'm second guessing myself. I'm pretty sure it's Dakota.
Well, imagine having your
I hope
former
Dakota's
job
doing
now,
well.
Ambassador,
Okay, good, good.
yesterday on Fox News from
Because I mostly follow cat channels, but I do know that you have the doggy, so.
And China's President Xi. Listen.
Okay, good. Give him a big kiss from Linda and I. He's so cute. Dakota. Hello, Frank. Zabo. Mad Radio DXer says, is it me or does Linda get very easily agitated? Well, I think if I pet her like here, she's fine. But if I go like here or under, like, she might be certain times at least sensitive, you know, so she doesn't like it, so she'll kind of, you know.
Has appointed are very anxious to follow whatever it is that he.
But
so I'm not sure that he is
overall,
accept
but
advice.
she does get a bit, she can get angry, yeah, if I overdo it.
Down with the president and talk
But today I didn't really spend any time with her. I was doing work earlier. She was sleeping during the day. So today now, when I'm doing the stream, she gets a lot of pets. But she'll let me know, like, if I'm overdoing it, of course. But she's so cute, I can't stop. I have to pet her.
So that we work together as a government seems more likely that that's being done.
My cat bosses the dogs around, says Specs. Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah,
if
yeah.
we're on the other side of the table from the United States. Do you
Hello, Mika. Mika is in the house.
other than President Trump? If
Thanks for stopping by, Mika.
decision-making begins and ends with him?
Well, he can only speak to of the 145 nations that we are negotiating with a little bit, but I do think that
Make that
next
bites, yeah.
question that
No, it doesn't hurt.
is,
No.
team is
It's playfully, too.
to make a recommendation.
It's because I notice she bites you every now and then. I suppose she does give a warning to say, hey, back off. Yeah.
But,
Also, she,
that's the style of this
also,
administration. Quite
Mad Radio DXer,
whether Republican or Democrat, that we
she loves
have
to play,
before.
too. Like, I'll be playing with her, and
Player experience is important to us, Ambassador. Thank
she'll
you.
come up to me and rub her head against me or something. That tells me she's in a playful mood. But then if I go to, like,
Thank you as always.
she'll see my hand as a toy, and she'll try to bite. But it's not really, it's just playfully biting. But she'll hiss at me. If I brushed her last time, and she'll let me know. Like, that's when you know she's angry, if she's hissing. So, yeah. Hey, Gigi NYC is in the house. She says, Tassone. Thanks for stopping by, Gigi. Hope you're doing well.
With the Bloomberg Podcast channel on YouTube.
We are seeing
And Peepa is here. Peepa and Top Cat. Hi, Peepa.
inflation moderating.
I'm Tom Keene, inviting you to watch and listen to the best analysis on business and investment. Visit the Bloomberg Podcast channel on YouTube.
Gigi says, can you clip her nails without issues? Yes, we,
And search Bloomberg Podcast.
I have a special nail clipper for that,
My brother-in-law died suddenly.
but she does not like it at all.
Her and her kids have to sell their home.
So yeah,
That's why I told my husband
it's a bit of a
not put off getting life
it's a bit of a
insurance
challenge.
longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000
However,
policy for nearly $40
sometimes
a
it's
month.
worse than
Then
others.
we
It
called
depends too.
SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $18 a month, a savings of nearly $300 a year.
Hello, Tama. Tama is in the house.
Policy or a $10 million policy.
Welcome, Tama.
Save you more than 50% on term life insurance. In a hurry? Don't worry. With SelectQuote, you can get up to $2 million.
There's Kitsos.
Affordable same-day coverage with no medical exam.
He's not on the coins today.
1-800-637-9116. That's 1-800-637-9116.
And then Linda is here.
Or go to selectquote.com. That's 1-800-637-9116.
Maybe we could get them both in the frame. Let's see.
Selectquote.com/commercials.
Yeah.
Now, your 3-day weather forecast.
Hey, Linda.
1130.
Partly cloudy to occasionally clear for a time. Breezy and cool. Low temperatures by early Wednesday morning, 40 to 45. And for your Wednesday, it's partly sunny and breezy. Afternoon temperature low to mid-50s. For Wednesday night, clear skies around 40 then. Sunshine near 60 on Thursday. In the 60s on Friday, though, with a mix of clouds and some sun. Increasing clouds late day. This is Gary Best with your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg.
Munching on some Pringles. Not sponsored, by the way.
Do you see a decoupling, though, between Washington and Beijing?
There doesn't have to be. There could be.
Crazy how well they get along, says Gigi. Yeah.
At some point, China is both our biggest economic competitor and our biggest military rival. So that's going to require a special kind of formula.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent talking with Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Horger yesterday about the future of the U.S.-China trade relationship. Bloomberg News now reporting China is expanding the ongoing trade war by ordering its airlines to stop taking further deliveries of Boeing jets
Yes, Peepa.
and halt purchases of aircraft equipment.
Linda is watching me like, why aren't you giving me food? Why are you eating in front of me?
Jenny Welch of Bloomberg Economics. Jenny, it's great to have you back. Does this really represent an escalation, knowing Boeing wasn't doing that much business in China, or is this just a loud statement from Beijing?
Here, you want?
I think this is more the latter. This is Beijing striking in a way in which it can, right? Tariffs tend to
Nope.
hurt China. It also doesn't have as much of an advantage as the U.S. does.
Don't say I didn't try to share with you.
Much more reliant on exports in the U.S. and vice versa. But what it does have an advantage over is market access for major U.S. firms and also over critical inputs that the U.S. depends on, like rare earths, which is also part of China's retaliation package.
Well, and when we consider that retaliation package, that this goes beyond just tariffs, Jennifer, is China in a position to actually inflict more pain with some of those?
We should have a yellow bird in the emojis for Kitsos. Yeah, Mika.
Its ability
That's
to
true.
restrict things like rare earths, for example, or restrict access to
Mad Radio
Chinese
DXer
workers.
says,
Does that go both ways?
I recently had some Nintendo themed
Both ways, and Boeing is an
Pringles.
example here, right, where a lot
One
of
was
the
barbecue
Chinese airlines
flavor.
already rely on Boeing
The other was a
for
mystery
things.
flavor.
They'll need Boeing servicing, they'll need parts
Don't want
in
to
the
give a
future.
spoiler
I think this
what the
is
flavor
something
actually
that how
was,
long Beijing
but it
has
tasted
held
nice.
over, right?
Well, you can tell
I'm
us.
really hoping it gets talked before it reaches that critical
Mystery
point.
flavor, huh?
When it comes to critical inputs like critical minerals, there is a danger of the more China uses this tool, the more other countries, including
I,
China, are trying to
I like
cut
the,
prices. But that takes a lot of time, and I would call
sour cream and onion
China can turn off
Pringles.
some of those taps, and it will have a disproportionate
I also like
impact
the,
on US industries that really depend
the
on
cheddar
these
one.
inputs, which are pretty
Cheddar.
irreplaceable at this point in time.
That one is good. Hello, Chicopee Radio. Hello to you.
Jenny, about decoupling and whether that was the word that we should
It was
use to describe
pickled onion.
our
Wow.
trade relationship
I never heard of that one
with
before.
China. Have we realized it in this administration?
I don't think we fully realized it, but certainly these tariffs are putting us pretty close to that point, right? When we had modeled last year, Trump's campaign promised of taking tariffs down.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, there are some flavors like that that you won't see in here in the U.S. that you'll see outside of the U.S. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
It's going to decimate U.S.-China trade. The question is how long they remain in place. I mean,
Tina says, save her, Tasso.
And so I wouldn't see this as necessarily a
Save who?
at least from his perspective.
Cynthia?
But the road to those talks, I think, is
Storms
very
happening
long,
on my
it's gonna be
birthday,
bumpy,
says
and
Tina.
The outcome of them is going to be very uncertain.
Well, and how much of this focus should not just be on whatever decoupling is
I
happening
think
between
Linda
China and the
listening to
US,
you
but whatever
too.
coupling
Yeah,
is
she is.
happening
She's like,
with
what the
China
heck are
and
you?
other
Who are you talking to? She's probably saying.
I think
There's
that's
nobody
a kind
here.
of moving target at the moment, and much of it may depend on where reciprocal tariffs go. Right now, with the 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs against other U.S. trade partners, China's kind of isolated, and I think in a distinct disadvantage because if those pauses stay in effect, a lot of companies might see an advantage to moving out of China and into some of those lower tariff zones. If the reciprocal tariffs go back on, that could change the picture a little bit by reducing that gap, but it's still probably going to be a pretty significant one. You know, even for Vietnam, with tariffs staying at 46%, that's significantly lower than the tariffs that China is currently facing. And so I think Beijing is going to try and play that game of bringing other countries on its side, but most other countries probably don't see an upside to it, at least at this point in time.
We will have stormy weather this Easter weekend.
Jennifer Welch,
Typical, it has to happen on a holiday.
so much. And again, a
Yeah.
reminder that President Trump said today through a statement
I don't know how
from
it's
White
supposed to
House
be
press
here,
secretary
but I
that
do
he
know
is
that
in China's court. So we're still waiting here for Beijing to pick up the phone.
next week
and
we're
call
supposed to
the White
go.
House. For now, he doesn't suggest he's
Well,
gonna do
Saturday,
anything
according to,
yet.
I'm just looking at the weather right now. It says it's going to be 78 here in New York City,
Beijing doesn't seem to be responding.
which is I'll be looking forward to that.
Coming up, we'll have more on the tariffs' economic impact and how they factor into U.S. revenues on this tax
With a
day.
45% chance of rain. Of course, this will probably change by then.
Bloomberg TV and radio.
Why my dad is talking to his phone?
24 hours a
Yeah.
day at Bloomberg.com. Bloomberg Television.
Who are you talking to?
Bloomberg Business app. This is the Bloomberg Business Flash.
Chicopee says I will have a rainy and windy day today. Yeah. It's very windy here today as well.
Partners showing no signs of abating, leaving investors risk averse. We bring you closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P
Hello, Heikki.
Nasdaq down 8 points. and the
Heikki
Dow down
Reams.
156 points.
Thank you for stopping by.
0.33%, and the 2-year Treasury yield at 3.84%.
Gigi says should be a wonderful Saturday weather-wise. Yeah. I can't wait.
From the escalating global trade war, automakers trying to maintain stability and keep
This
customers
year
from
has been
CEO Jose Munoz on NASDAQ
abnormally
President
cold,
Trump's
if you ask me,
rollout.
thus far.
In the U.S., we don't produce in Mexico. We maybe very minor, but we took a conscious decision to invest here in the USA.
All right.
We all want to ensure
Oh, you're back, Linda? She left and then she came back.
a plain level
Oh.
field for everybody, so that we can compete in good terms.
Jose Munoz speaking with Bloomberg TV. United Airlines
Let's put
offering
this
two
here.
profit scenarios. Kind of an unusual move. One of those scenarios reiterates previous guidance if the environment remains stable. The
8 people
other
watching, 11 likes.
earnings if revenue
Thank you so much for watching.
as United Airlines jumps
Smash that like button.
now up more than 6%. For on-demand news 24 hours a day, subscribe to Bloomberg News Now wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Amy Morris,
And,
Bloomberg Business Flash.
Mad Radio DXer says, yes, the temperature is better here too, so spending more time outdoors with my radios, yes.
Salvo in President Trump's global trade war. Stocks swing wildly with tariff headlines.
We're going to make our country even stronger.
There's still a lot of uncertainty going forward.
China said that they will fight
Kichos is very calm.
Tariffs are not going
He
away
is.
in Boulder City factory here to stay. For the latest headlines and market moves from Washington to Wall Street, listen on Bloomberg 1130 or watch on the Bloomberg Podcast channel on YouTube.
Will the U.S. Consumer Sentiment Index exceed 70 in April 2025? At Interactive Brokers, the Yes Forecast contract was recently priced at 29%. With Interactive Brokers forecast contracts, you can trade on future events like climate, the economy, or politics. Pick yes or no, and if you're right, you earn $1. Forecast contracts are not suitable for all investors. Make your prediction. Go to ibkr.com/forecast and start predicting today. Last trading date for this contract is May 13th.
Get the latest news on demand whenever you want it. Subscribe to Bloomberg News Now to get the latest headlines. Listen and subscribe to Bloomberg News Now on the Bloomberg Business app, Bloomberg.com, Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
What's going on, Alfredo Whiskers?
This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg TV. And
Mr. Whiskers is in the house.
NBC's case against Meta Platforms, the antitrust case, finally saw its trial begin yesterday. And according to new reporting just in from the Wall Street Journal, that trial is something Mark Zuckerberg tried to avoid. They report he called the head of the Federal Trade Commission in late March with an offer that Meta would pay $450 million to settle the case. Wasn't accepted. For the latest, we turn now to Bloomberg's Mike Shepard. So we understand, Mike, according to the Journal's reporting, that Andrew Ferguson, who now leads the FTC, didn't see this basically as a credible offer, which is why Zuckerberg has had to be on the stand in the trial room.
That's right, Kaylee. He has been on the stand the past 2 days, really trying to explain the company's rationale over the nearly past 2 decades in trying to acquire Instagram and WhatsApp. And defending
It looks like Kitsos is saying something. Like he's,
behaviors the FTC has been alleging in this case.
it's like he's as I'm looking at my other
the FTC chair, Andrew Ferguson,
monitor here.
in this space before, did not see it as credible. $30 billion was actually what the agency had thought would be a serious settlement, and they wouldn't do anything less than $18 billion along with the consent decrees. This was pretty far from the mark in the agency's view. Meta, right before the trial, according to the Journal's reporting, upped the offer to $1 billion, but it still wasn't enough. And of course, Mark Zuckerberg is trying to parlay that proximity to Donald Trump that we saw develop over the
Well, I
past
was going
year.
to say, with friends like these, my goodness, doesn't Mark Zuckerberg have the president's phone number?
Well, yeah, I'm sure he does, and he's been to Mar-a-Lago enough times,
Right.
and the White House
To avoid this
enough
very
times
moment.
to perhaps avoid this very moment. But, you know, the FTC has made clear that it intends to pursue this agenda, going after tech companies over what has been seen by both parties as anti-competitive behavior, and it's something that's reflected in the vice president.
I also bought this.
J.D. Vance has made clear that he finds this conduct.
It's not for me though. This is for my nephew. When I see him, I'm gonna give it to him. Easter. He's my godson.
Bloomberg's Mike Shepard.
So-
Thank you so much, Mike. And from Mike's own wheelhouse here, as we consider the intersection of Washington and technology
Yeah.
in this case. We have breaking news, Kaylee, on NVIDIA, and the stock is trading lower in after hours right now as we run the headline across the terminal. NVIDIA says the U.S. requires a license to export its H20 products to China. These are the GPUs not on the level of
The
Blackwell,
yellow
but
color
on
is
higher
not for covering yourself in the forest.
but we're supposed to be available to China following
Probably it is for attracting.
Trump. They met
Yeah.
unlock this potential.
I don't think he would be good at camouflaging himself.
We're going to try to learn more about this.
That's a good observation, Mika.
The evening here, NVIDIA shares down about 4% in post-market trading. As we carry on with our coverage from Washington, Terry
Yes,
Sanders,
Mr. Whiskers. Gigi is here.
Today on Bloomberg talked about Congress's effort to pass President Trump's tax cuts and the role that tariffs, as we've been discussing throughout this hour, will play in paying for them. Listen.
I'm optimistic that the Congress gets this done. There's an awful lot of alignment on that. What you're going to see is a very big tax cut number coming through, I think, and I think that probably balances or more the tariff shocks.
Joining us now with more, Katie Richards, Senior Strategic Advisor at the Groundwork Collaborative. Nice to see you at the desk. Thanks for coming to talk to us. Do you see the balance in the Libertarians?
Thank you so much for having me. Unfortunately, I think we all have a pretty good sense of what the tax bill is going to look like, even though it's still being ironed out. And what we're going to see is a continuation of the Trump administration's push since the first Trump administration to cut taxes primarily for the very wealthy and corporations. And we saw this on the campaign trail. He pledged to...
Yeah, Kitsos is listening to the news. He's listening to the financial news. I have that on right now. Because, you know, he likes his money. So do I. I think we all do to an extent. Linda's back.
We see them partially paying for this with cuts to healthcare for everyday families.
Kitsos is my kind of bird, news junkie.
That tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations are going to somehow protect Americans from
Because his dad is forcing him.
disruptions caused by the Trump administration's approach to tariffs. But on your point about wealthy Americans, our reporting indicates that Republicans are actually considering raising the rate on taxpayers that earn more than $1 million a year to 40%. You don't buy it? You're not encouraged by that? I will believe it when I see it. Also, their tax-cutting plans for the other elements of the tax code that affect those wealthy folks, and of course the corporate tax code, which primarily falls on wealthy shareholders, will likely more than counterbalance anything that we see on that top individual income tax rate. But I also think that we're really seeing Republicans in Congress cross-pressured at this moment. There are a number of them who have been ideologically committed for decades to tax cutting for the very wealthiest on sort of discredited trickle-down economic theories. They're running into others who have ideological commitments to not blowing up the deficit, though those concerns have fallen to the wayside every time that the rubber has met the road with this Republican Congress. And you have folks who are seeing their voters change, and really, you know, these agenda items are really unpopular with most voters, including most Republican voters. And so I think that they are really struggling to figure out how they're going to get this package across the finish line.
Well, whether tax rates are going up or down, somebody needs to be around to collect the taxes at some point. On the early edition of Balance of Power...
Yeah, did you guys do your taxes? Whoever's in the U.S. Today's tax day.
On this year's tax collection, we just learned today another 20,000 IRS workers...
Uncle Sam wants his money.
Here's what she said.
People lose faith in the system. People distrust that, you know, their neighbors are paying their taxes. I pay mine. That's not the type of vibe we want to create around taxes. We want trust in the system. We want transparency in the system. The first step should be dramatically simplify the tax system so there are less opportunities for abuse, and then you can shrink the workforce along with that simplification in the tax code.
It's interesting, Katie, we heard from the Deputy Treasury Secretary on Bloomberg on Friday, who said that tax receipts are actually looking robust. We're up about 3% over the same time in the last fiscal year. But once this kicks in, if there are in fact issues here, as Erica is describing, is it open season for cheats? What happens?
And, you know, it's interesting. We're hearing different things from sources within the IRS.
Yeah, Linda's going to play with Kitsos.
A very significant fall in revenue by tax filing day, largely due to changes in taxpayer behavior around whether they think that they are going to be caught cheating, whether they are making their payments on time, that sort of thing. The other thing that I'd emphasize about the cuts to the IRS is that it is simultaneously enabling tax cheating by largely, again, the wealthy and corporations who have the ability to use accounting gimmicks and offshore bank accounts and other tools to hide their money from the IRS. But it's also making it harder for everyday Americans to file their taxes and pay what they owe. So, you know, the Trump administration has been actively undermining taxpayer services. A lot of the laid-off workers were in...
I'm going to get one of Linda's favorite...
jobs or new taxpayer services jobs. And they're undermining the new Direct File program, which, thanks to a pilot program launched by Treasury last year, tens of millions of Americans are now eligible to file their taxes directly with the federal government rather than having to pay sometimes more than $100 to a private corporation to pay. That program is being undermined. So you're sort of getting both of the problems: reduced service for honest taxpayers and increased ability for those who want to cheat. What about the revenue that could come?
Her favorite toy, yeah.
Because of tariffs, Kitty. Obviously, while there's negotiations happening, there are still a number of tariffs in place. The 10%.
It's my toy. I take it.
45% on Chinese
Oh,
imports.
she got it.
What revenue is that realistically going to drive? I think it's really hard to say what kind of revenue it's going to drive.
She likes that string better than this.
The revenue that the Trump administration
See, look.
is claiming, it is not going to be able to replace the massive tax cuts contemplated in their reconciliation instructions. I don't think that anyone on the outside thinks that those estimates are reasonable.
She just wants that string.
Richard, it's great to have you here in our Washington, D.C.
Have another.
Advisor at at the Groundwork Collaborative. Thank you. Coming up, President Trump is
She'd rather this.
Harvard's tax-exempt status. We'll have more on the battle between the university and the current president and how it's ratcheting up. Plus, in his first big speech,
Kidsos, you want to play with the string?
it's the first big speech for his predecessor since leaving the White House as former President Joe Biden is preparing to take the stage and address the fight over Social Security. We'll discuss both of those things with our political panel next on Balance of Power on Bloomberg TV and radio.
She can bite the string, yeah.
Is this a negotiation or the new rules of the game?
It could be either.
It is up to the president how he wants to negotiate.
A deal's going to be made with China. Nothing's over yet.
There's been a lot of confusion up to now.
A 90-day pause is not an eradication.
We are talking with the original Gigi from... Yeah, Alfredo. Why wouldn't we be?
As the tariff and global economy story evolves,
This year's Met case.
What do you think? There's an impersonator in the chat here?
nobody covers tariffs like Bloomberg Television. Context changes everything.
Hello, Foxy. Foxy's in the house. Hello very quickly, says
24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com.
Tasso and Linda. The one and only Gigi. There's only one Gigi, Alfredo. Whoa.
I'm Amy Morris. NVIDIA sees first quarter charges of $5.5 billion associated with H2O.
The one and only. She's the original. The OG.
Now, NVIDIA says the U.S. told him that it required a license for export to China of the company's H2O circuits and any other circuits achieving the H2O's memory bandwidth. Shares of NVIDIA now down more than 4% in the post-market. United Airlines offering two profit scenarios, one reiterating previous guidance if the environment stays stable.
I did just want to say that... Oh, Noah's on? Okay.
First quarter adjusted profit of 91 cents.
Yeah, I decided to come on and do a stream today.
But the airline also warned volatile trade.
Now, I also have this, right? This is a ribbon.
Could impact demand and earnings. Shares of United Airlines
And you would think that Linda might have the same reaction to the ribbon. But you do this, she's like, nah. Well, she doesn't really care, to be honest with you. See? Well, she's actually...
President Trump, meanwhile, calling on China to reach out to him to start negotiations to resolve.
Yeah, we got to get Peter here too, Gigi. Because he loves cats.
U.S. and China have not engaged in high-level talks. For on-demand news 24 hours a day, subscribe to Bloomberg News Now wherever you get your podcasts.
Or your cat loved lasers, yeah.
Bloomberg Business Flash.
She's actually playing with the ribbon more. All right, Foxy. Take care.
Moment for institutions of higher education, particularly ones that have a fair amount of wealth in terms of their endowment. This isn't just Harvard or Brown or Columbia. This is higher education, and it's dependent on
Yeah, she loves the string, exactly, yeah. Not trying to get political, says Chicopee. I hate the tariffs, that's... Yeah, well, I hate it too, but...
It leaves some more wiggle room to negotiate, but Harvard's such a target.
Post your upcoming live stream on the Discord next time. Yeah, I honestly just, I don't really plan them. I just come on. Whenever I come on, I just, sometimes, but I'm mostly spontaneous. So. And Pipa has to make a stream. Yes, Pipa. We missed you, Pipa. I see your videos, but you haven't done a stream in such a while. Pipa has an awesome channel.
The international practice at BGR Group and Republican strategist, alongside Democratic strategist Kevin Walling, vice president of HG Creative. Welcome to you both. Kevin, obviously we have seen some on the Democratic side praising Harvard for standing up in the way they see it to this administration, but we're also talking about an institution here with an endowment of over $50 billion. Can anyone else realistically afford to do what Harvard is doing?
Well, certainly, to your point, one of the highest profile Democrats, Barack Obama, out today with a tweet in support of Harvard and this action, hoping that other institutions of higher learning will...
Linda, no, don't even... Shit. No, she freaking ate the string. Are you kidding me? No, absolutely not, bro.
...that are likely on the chopping block. But this is certainly a line in the sand
Come here, come here.
is pursuing with the
Damn.
administration.
Cannot do that, Linda.
Badly for Harvard today. Lester, would it behoove the university to explain why it needs over $2 billion in federal funding? What's it doing with the money?
I think it should explain it.
Ah, Linda.
Obviously, is a very intense relationship between Harvard University and the federal government. How
This
does
is
that in and of itself
Linda.
impact academic freedom? I think Harvard should explain that. It has, obviously, a
Well,
lot of these funds go towards scientific research.
she ate the string. It wasn't a big piece,
Public should support.
but she ate the string.
Time for Harvard to come out and explain exactly
Oh,
what
man.
it's doing and why it still deserves
This is not
exempt
good.
status. I think people will be sympathetic, even if they're a little.
Linda,
how much
no,
money
now I can't.
Harvard actually has on its own.
Well, I guess that's my question, my query is whether Harvard deserves more scrutiny than the approach the
Yes,
administration is
yes.
taking toward higher institutions as a whole. Harvard contends that this is an infringement of rights that the president is trying to force upon them.
Well, I think if an institution like Harvard wants
It wasn't a big piece, but I'm pretty sure, no, she ate it.
then it should be able to do these
Man.
things without government.
Yeah, she'll get rid of it either way. I know, Gigi.
Come with some ties. It has to. There's
Oh,
going
wait.
to be compromises based on the policy of the
Oh,
government. So
there's
if they
another
want to remain pristine and above it all, they
Nah, I'm pretty sure I saw her eat it. A piece. And swallowed it.
clearly they have the flexibility to do that, at least for a while.
Oh, well.
So they kind of
I'm gonna
need
keep
to
an eye
figure
on her.
out who they are here. Are they going to be a member of the community and involved in the important things that we
Now we know why she likes that string.
stand alone and be kind of adhering to some other principles?
So what's Harvard's next move here? And I guess getting back to where Kaylee started, who's going to follow? Harvard's the first here because they can afford to be.
Well, to Lester's point, I think the onus is on Harvard to explain where a lot of this.
Yeah, it's a little piece. It was a little piece.
Grant funding going to scientific medical research.
'Cause I had 3 pieces out.
Different positions that are engaged in that research capacity. I think a bigger threat to Harvard is this Truth Social post about the tax exempt status, more so than the attacks on direct funding. So much of community giving to a college.
This is a string from like one of those,
that tax exempt status.
see now it made a knot in it.
So much of what drives our activities
From one of those, you
I
know,
think that's the bigger threat. Harvard needs to
you know when you get desserts and they tie it up at the bakery?
Today might be tax day, but it is also President Joe Biden returning to the public eye today for the first time.
Let me see. I'm gonna see something.
January, we will hear
I want to see if she's gonna,
speech in Chicago on
if
the
she'll eat
subject
it
of protecting
like, on camera.
security. Kevin, what do you make of the message that he's delivering and him delivering it as the messenger?
Let me see what she's gonna do.
For the Democratic Party, this is certainly an issue that the president the former president is focused on. In anticipation
Yeah, she
of
ate the
midterms,
string.
You had the Trump
No,
administration announcing
no way.
cutting back 7,000 jobs.
Yeah, thank you, Mad Radio DX. So yeah, I mean, she's fine, but
Some complaints that have been
it'll come out like Gigi said, either way.
responsiveness of that administration. So this is going to be
Thank you, Mad Radio DX, sir.
rallying point for Democrats.
Chicopee says we have termites in our house. Oh my gosh.
While we're 100
That's not good.
days away from the midterms, it's never too early to start campaigning on this particular issue. And obviously, the former president believes he has an important role to play in rallying the troops around that particular issue.
I don't know if you're going to be watching this just for the nostalgia here, Lester. But hey, look, if Joe Biden does a good job delivering this speech, I'm guessing he's going to get some coverage.
Oh, you're in the Upper West Side? Cool.
As Kaylee mentioned, when do we see the first billboard with Joe Biden's face? Miss me yet?
The Queen, Linda is wearing Queens. So Linda
I disagree with Kevin.
Linda
I'm not sure this is a great issue for Democrats.
is the Queen of Queens. That's her name.
Pretty firmly in the camp of not doing anything to change Social Security benefits.
Yeah, it's gonna come out.
Entitlements where, frankly, we need some reform. If you really want to address the budget deficit and the national debt, you have to deal with these issues.
Gigi says mine used to chew on paper. Then she had her usual hairball moment. Yeah, so we have carpeting, and sometimes if there's like,
All right, very good. Lester Munson, Kevin,
you know, little
thank you so much for the time on our political panel.
anything on the carpet, like you'll see her like licking, which like eating whatever is off the carpet, which, yeah, she sees that string. I'm holding it in my hand. That's why she's still, and yeah, you're in Italy, Alfredo.
This is New York's only 24-hour source for world markets and breaking business news.
She'll basically lick the floor clean. Let's just put it that way.
Latest market-moving headlines.
If I don't, which we regularly vacuum in that room, but if she's there, if there's anything, she'll.
That is what it sounded like outside the courthouse where a hearing was held in the case of a man wrongly deported.
Mad Radio The Extra says, I looked after cats that love toilet paper. Wow, yeah. Had to keep it well away from them. Exactly.
The release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. President Trump is threatening to strip Harvard University's tax-exempt status.
Yeah, I'm sure Linda too. She if I had a thing of toilet paper, she'll freaking, that whole roll will be in pieces all over the house. It hasn't happened, but I can tell that's what she would do. She's one of those cats. Like, I've seen cats do that. It would be a mess. Just like Alfredo. I think I did a mess there. Yes, you did.
The cathedral reopened in December. CBS News Brief. I'm Matt Piper.
Everything you love about Bloomberg Radio is now inside your car. The new Bloomberg Business app featuring Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All your favorite Bloomberg Radio shows right on your dashboard. Download it free in the Apple App Store or on Google Play.
No, Linda. See, look, she's still after that string.
Over 75 years, always innovating. Today, we're a leader.
Well, if we're gonna play, I have to hold on to it tight. You're not gonna eat it. No. No.
To build the portfolios of the future today. Franklin Templeton, your trusted partner for what's ahead.
This is good though, you know, she keeps them active. It's very good.
Including possible loss of principal.
This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg TV.
Use the big ribbon, yeah.
Joe Matthew, I'm Kaylee Lyons. And we return now to breaking news from NVIDIA. The stock falling more than 4% after hours as it says the U.S.
Nothing.
has informed it that it requires license to export its H20 integrated circuits to China, also saying they see a first quarter charge of $5.5 billion related to these H20 products. For the latest, we
Nada.
talked to Bloomberg's Mike Shepard. So, Mike, obviously, NVIDIA has been in the crosshairs when we consider export controls of semiconductor-oriented technology to China, but this is going a step further than was previously necessary for them.
That's right. This is a step further, Kelly, and this is another sign of how the competition in artificial intelligence.
She doesn't even want this now.
The largest economies, the U.S. and China,
She's like,
has intensified, especially since Donald Trump took office. You remember that right around the time he took the oath of office,
there we go.
China-based DeepSeek was releasing its lower-cost and more efficient model, its R1 chatbot model, that took the world by storm and really surprised a lot, including the hyperscalers, but also NVIDIA. The company DeepSeek was using NVIDIA chips, an older generation of them, and this really marked a new blow to American hopes of maintaining what would be a sizable advantage. And it prompted Donald Trump to come out and say, we will make this a priority to retain this edge, to retain this dominance. But it signaled that China had not only its ambitions, but perhaps the wherewithal to pull it off.
So if these aren't Blackwell chips we're talking about, right? If you stacked up enough H20s, could you in fact get the same result as a DeepSeek? Could you advance an AI model? Is that why these are being restricted?
And that is one of the concerns that the U.S. government has, is that in fact by using a different package or stack of these H20 chips, and remember the H20 chip has already been modified and scaled down for the China market, and that's owing to restrictions going back to 2022. As Kaylee mentioned, NVIDIA has been in the crosshairs since the Biden administration for the advanced chips it produces and sells, and have been selling into the China market, and they have been looking to make sure that China doesn't get its hands on the best stuff. H20 was introduced as a way to...
I don't like a big ribbon. I cannot bite it. Yeah, exactly. And I cannot eat it.
Startups could use to make breakthroughs in AI.
Well, and I would imagine tariffs only add a complicating factor to this whole thing.
Oh, and then you bring in tariffs, of course, and for all of these companies, it's yet another concern because, as NVIDIA has pointed out, the concern for them is that it's only going to embolden China to perhaps break away and try to seek its own innovation rather than trying to buy what American companies are designing and producing. So their concern is it's multifold.
All right, Bloomberg's Mike Shepard in the clutch. Thank you for helping us understand this breaker live on Bloomberg.
And we're dealing with another breaker now here on Bloomberg TV and radio. The president just signing an executive action to launch a Section 232 probe on critical minerals. This is, of course, after earlier this week launching another Section 232 probe, which specifically looks at national security implications when it comes to semiconductors and pharmaceuticals.
You hear Kitsos is chirping.
Critical minerals, we understand, which would essentially set the stage for possible tariffs in that sector as well. Keeping in mind, for all of our conversation around reciprocal tariff rates and negotiations around those deals, there are still the sectoral tariffs that are looming.
That's right, absolutely. This is yet another investigation. Unclear how long any
Gigi says she's still here. Well, thank you for being here.
I think typically it would be over
Thank you, everybody, whoever is
to be completed. So we'll see how quickly
was here and is still here watching.
Section 232 probe has started, and we'll have coverage of this for you tomorrow, in addition to some other pretty important events that will be happening on Wednesday.
Fed Chair Jay Powell tomorrow. The economic call of Chicago. You will see and hear it live on Bloomberg TV and radio. We expect that'll start daily around 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we'll be on the early edition by then. Thanks for joining us on Balance of Power. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Bloomberg TV and radio.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
It's 5:56 on Wall Street. I'm Amy Morris. NVIDIA says the U.S. government will begin requiring a license to export the company's H2O chips to China, an escalation of those restrictions. NVIDIA says the government told them that such a license would be in effect for the indefinite future. The company now expects to report charges of about $5.5 billion during the fiscal first quarter from inventory, purchase commitments, and related reserves tied to the H2O line. NVIDIA shares now about 4.5% lower in the post-market. Stocks were volatile. President Trump's tariff war with trade partners showed no signs of abating, leaving investors risk-averse.
Funky glasses. Yeah.
Closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. S&P down 9 points, Nasdaq down 8 points, Dow down 156 points. 10-year Treasury yield at 4.33% and the 2-year yield at 3.84%. President Trump did call on China to negotiate, but there is no end in sight to the trade fight. Investors advised to prepare for a range of possible outcomes. United Airlines offering 2 profit scenarios, one reiterating the previous guidance if the environment remains stable, the other predicting lower earnings if revenue worsens. Shares of United Airlines are up more than 5% now in the post-market.
I thought you were almost a granny like me. Well, you're older, Alfredo.
Wherever you get your podcast. I'm Amy Morris, and that is the Bloomberg Business Flash.
I hope you don't say to Linda she's a granny, because she's going to kick your butt. I mean, she is. Linda is, you know, an older cat, but she don't look her age, right? So.
Kind of a cool, dry day on Wednesday, 50 to 55. Wednesday night clear, cool around 40.
Granny Linda.
On Thursday, and for Friday, becoming partly sunny in the low to mid 60s. This is meteorologist Gary Best with the 3-day.
The Alex World. Hello. Welcome, the Alex World. Can I be a mod? Says the Alex World. I mean, I got plenty of mods here. But maybe I'll add more. I haven't decided yet.
Because if your focus is narrowed on your individual village, your tiny sliver of Earth, you'll miss out on the big picture. When you look at the world, what do you see? Learn more at Bloomberg.com. Context changes everything.
Stay connected with
I'm 10 more than you?
with Bloomberg Podcast on Odd Lots,
You're a granddad.
World Trade, North American Freight, and the Fed. On Bloomberg
So thank you for stopping by, the Alex World.
CEO Larry Fink
Pipa says, Linda looks so young and full of energy. Yeah, exactly. She does.
track Wall Street's winners and losers as the trade war impacts markets. Listen to Bloomberg Podcast on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app or anywhere you get your podcasts. Bloomberg Podcast. Context changes everything.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40%.
Matt Vader the Extra says, I wonder if I'm the oldest here at 48.
Terms apply. From the financial capital of the world, 24
I think perhaps Linda might qualify as the oldest because I don't know how old 14 is in cat years, but I think it's old. It's older than all of us. Sorry, Linda.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance. I'm Matt Piper.
I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive.
That is the wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, as the hearing has just ended for the man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. The judge has told the Department of Justice that every day he's detained is another day of irreparable harm. Our Ouija Chang following.
Pizzas.
was questioning the administration
72 human years. Wow.
not facilitating the return of Abrego Garcia, even though that is what the Supreme Court ordered. And the Department of Homeland Security is basically saying we don't have jurisdiction over this individual.
You know, there's a well, sadly the cat has is no longer with us, but there was a cat, a channel that I followed, Alfredo, you know, Monkey the cat, lived to, was it 25 or 26? Which is, as far as I know, I saw a video once, actually not that long ago, I think the oldest is 30, lived to 30 years, which is amazing, but...
John Van Smith is with the American Council on Education.
Arbitrarily cutting off the kind of funding that helps low-income students, that helps scientific researchers, because they disagree with the views of a campus leadership or
Yeah, Monkey the cat. Yeah, exactly.
is contrary to law. It is clearly illegal.
On the Health Watch, more than 700 measles cases have been confirmed so far this year in the U.S.
Amesh Adalia at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security.
Monkey the cat, yeah.
Number is actually much higher.
We're not getting the full picture here because there's lack of
Mine lived a long time, but with issues, unfortunately. Yeah.
Texas, where 2 children died. Catherine Wells is the director of public health in Lubbock, where there's been an outbreak at a
They're like family, so, you know, it's
7 days a week for a couple of weeks. They're really
it's tough.
vaccine rate.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
It's like a family member, you know?
Data analysis shows more and more Americans are having very long waits in hospital ERs, sometimes 4 or more hours, just to get beyond those swinging doors. Dr. Allison Haddock is president of the American College of Emergency Physicians.
The patients that we see who are sick and they need to stay overnight in the hospital don't have anywhere to go because the hospitals are chronically full. So where patients end up seeing that is in the emergency department because they arrive at the emergency department, they need care, and there's nowhere to put them.
Rapper Lil Nas X posted a social media video from a hospital bed showing he lost movement in one side of his face. No word on why, but some are responding believing he has Bell's palsy. This is CBS News. A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at progressive.com.
Yeah, Pipa says I don't know what I'm gonna do when Pipa's time comes. Yeah, it's, you know, it's unfortunately it's part of life. And all right, Gigi. I think I'm gonna get off soon. I'm gonna make it. Maybe I'll stay until an hour. But listen, thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. You know, it's depressing to think about, but you know, that's why we have to enjoy every moment that we get with them while they're here. That's what I do, you know. Even if I'm busy or whatever, I still try to spend time with Linda. Thank you, Icon. Yes, it is 1130 Bloomberg Radio.
There's a new formula for the best 24 hours. CBS's Deborah Rodriguez has that.
And I didn't even know that they do the CBS thing at the top of the hour. I just heard it for the first time. This is something that WCBS 880 used to do, that they have since, you know, when they closed last year. So that's actually nice that they do that. They I guess Bloomberg Radio picked it up. Pipa says, Pipa is my first pet and my only daughter. Wow. Yeah. Technically, Linda would be my sister, my little sister. Cause we have Linda since 2011, so I didn't get Linda. My brother and his wife found Linda. They got her off of someone on Craigslist of all places, I believe. 2011, yes, she was just a little baby kitty, and I wanted a cat, and they got Linda, and she's the best thing one of the best things for me. I love her. Yes, Mad Radio The Extra says, nice. I can see you really enjoy listening to Medium Wave. I was listening earlier to soccer on Medium Wave from stations here in the UK and Spain. Yes, I was actually watching a little bit of the soccer game earlier. Barcelona was playing against Dortmund. Alfredo knows because he follows those teams. And Barcelona, anyways, they lost, but they're advancing. So yeah. And I'm pretty sure if Radio Exterior de España was probably playing the game too on the radio. Pipa says, I have Pipa since 2017. She is the love of my life. Oh man, that's so precious. So you got her since she was a kitten, I'm assuming.
Speaking of aircraft, United Airlines is standing by its full-year outlook, but the carrier says a recessionary scenario could lower earnings. Nonetheless, the stock is soaring by 5.5% in late trading.
Yeah.
Check markets for you throughout the day here on Bloomberg. Yields falling across the Treasury curve today, more so at the long end, where the 10-year was down about 4 basis points to 4.33%. The 2-year dropped a basis point in yield.
8 months old.
0.83%. Few signs of progress in negotiations on trade sent the equity market a little lower today. We had the Dow down about 0.4%, S&P 500 down 0.2%, and the Nasdaq Composite slipping 0.1% today. The dollar halted a 5-day slide. We had the Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index rising 0.3% in New York trading. Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Doug Krisner, and this is Bloomberg.
Now, your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Clear to occasionally partly cloudy skies for tonight. It'll be breezy. Midtown drops down to 40 to 45. A little bit cooler in some of the suburbs. For Wednesday, partly sunny and breezy. About 50 to 55 will do it. Clear skies on Wednesday night, around 40. And sunshine back up to near 60 here on Thursday. And Friday, becoming partly to mostly cloudy and low to mid-60s for the afternoon. This is Gary Best. Here is your 3-day weather forecast.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to end the stream now.
This is Bloomberg Law.
We'll end it with Kitos up here.
I think all agencies need a degree of
But I appreciate everyone stopping by, as always. Mad Radio The Extra says, I managed to get 1130. Wow. I think I remember you saying that. That's good. That's a good DX. 1010 is still the best New York City medium wave to receive here. Wow. Okay, cool. You get 1010. That's cool. All right, everybody. Tama, thank you for the kind words. Tama says, I'm happy you have started this channel so we got to see her. So thank you. And you give the big kiss to Tama as well from Linda, Kitsos, and I. So everybody, appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one. All right, take care. Bye-bye.